Today, we have an exclusive interview with Darin Kidd and why a home-based business might be good for you. Hi, my name's Troy Landwehr, and I love teaching business principles through the Bible. Today, we have a very special guest and a brother in Christ, Darin Kidd. Darin Kidd has owned traditional businesses. He's owned franchises, and he's actually worked from home. He's made multiple six figures. He's helped grow teams. He's helped companies, businesses transform and become the best they can be. He's been featured on Success from Home magazine. He's part of John Maxwell Advisory Committee. He's done so much leadership out there. You've done it all. You've helped the people with digital marketing as well. And so, Darin, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Appreciate it, Troy, and it's always great to connect with you. And I know you've done amazing things in the business world as well. So mutual respect. And I appreciate you allowing me to share some things with your audience. And for all of you that are watching, you hear the great things, the multiple seven figures, the magazines, and all of that. And that's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm very thankful and very blessed to have achieved those things, and always looking to become a better version of myself. But the part of my story that I think is the most motivating is what happened before all of that. Because once you hear my story, you're going to be like, man, if that bald-headed dude can do it, I can do it, right? Darin Kidd can achieve success. Anyone can achieve success. And that's not just, I know it sounds good for a podcast or a YouTube video to say those type of things, but it's true. And so, Troy, let's take it back. I didn't finish college. So I'm a college dropout. I made it through about a year and a half. I heard about network marketing there was a strength coach at the college, and I only weighed 142 pounds at the time. And I'm like, man, I just got to put on some weight. And so there's this big old strength coach, and I'm like, hey man, what do you recommend on me getting stronger, getting bigger? And he's like, I'm glad you asked. And that's when I was introduced to network marketing for the first time. I was like 18, 19 years old, which led to a 28-year career as a distributor before I walked away a year ago to become a full-time trainer. And so I struggled for 7 years in network marketing. I failed over and over and over again. I could write an entire book on what not to do in network marketing or direct sales, and I ended up bankrupt. So I ended up bankrupt, when my 21-year-old was born, which my wife and I have 5 kids. So that's a warning for anybody watching. If you work from home, you can definitely multiply at a pretty fast pace. And I wouldn't trade my kids are the reason that, my family is everything to me. So, but when the 21-year-old was born, we were on Medicaid, government assistance. We were applying for food stamps, couldn't feed my kids, couldn't support my wife, couldn't keep a job, college dropout. We live in a small town still to this day in Virginia. We're up to 5 traffic lights, right? And, I was depressed. So I went to the doctor for depression because I didn't have a lot of hope. And then finally, thank God, I had some people that came into my life that looked at me not as how I was, but how I could be with my God-given potential. And it completely changed my world. And so for the last several years, when I was a distributor, like I said, for 28 years, I always had this dream. I'm like, you know what? I would love to be that person that I didn't have for 7 years, where I failed over and over. I didn't know what to do, where to go. I had no guidance. And, it's just smart, Troy, you find someone that has what you want, has a lifestyle that you want, and then you model what they do, and you can compress time frames. You can shave years off your learning curve. So that's kind of how I got started. So people hear the news story and they go, oh my gosh, he's had that much success. But what they don't hear is the backstory. When they hear the backstory, they're like, okay, well, then share with me what you did to go out and change your life.
Well, that's a great story. I love, Hollywood loves people that overcome. Hollywood stories about people that came from nothing and overcome. Even in the Bible, Joseph was a slave and became a pharaoh. So, and it's interesting. My last interview, I interviewed someone that, we got a trend here this week because I too barely graduated high school. We're not saying don't go to college, and I flunked out of college. So, but the beauty is that, Darin, where else do people like you and I go to be able to make that type of income? And the wonderful thing about it is, you have 5 children, you've been able to do a lot for people. We're really in a live to give mentality that when you increase your standard of living, you increase your standard of giving. And because what you've been able to do, you've been able to help people and you've been able to help companies. How rewarding is it, not just for you to have success, but you've been able to teach so many people. I mean, you've been in service, you've helped service companies, product companies, so many different industries and so many different people you've been able to help excel their growth.
You know what? Yeah, and you said something real quick. I want to make sure I don't miss that. When you said that the obstacles, the challenges, one of the first things that really started to turn my life around when I stopped being a victim and stopped blaming everyone else, because you can't control what happens around you, but what's more important is what happens within you. And so looking back, if you would have told me, hey, Darin, this is amazing. You can't feed your kids, you can't support your wife, couldn't make it through college, they repossessed your car, right? You're depressed. This is one of the best things that ever happened to you. I wouldn't have taken it very well. But looking back, I learned obstacles lead to elevation. There is no elevation without obstacles. Now here's the challenge though. It's about how you look at the obstacles. They can break you or they can make you. They can be a stumbling block or a building block. So when you go back and you look at all the successful people that you and I've been blessed to hang around and study, you know, the challenges, they made them better, not bitter. And they had a mindset not just to go through those challenging times, but to grow through those challenging times. So if I hadn't have gotten to that point, sometimes it just doesn't hurt bad enough. You know, it's like the dog under the porch, the old man is in a rocking chair, the old farmer, and the neighbor's walking by and said, hey, mister, your dog is laying on a nail. And he goes, well, don't worry about it. When it hurts bad enough, he'll move. Sometimes it just doesn't hurt bad enough. We have those friends and family we love, we care about, but they won't participate in their own rescue. You know, we want it more for them than they want it for themselves. So when I took responsibility, when I started looking at challenges, and especially when it comes to the business world, we get paid based on the size of the challenges and the problems we can solve. Like the late, great Jim Rohn says, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. And so I wanted to make sure that I got that out there, because for those of you that are watching, and the only difference is the more success you have, the bigger the emotional roller coaster, right? I mean, would you agree with that, Troy? You know,
well, you got so many sayings, man. I'm going to have to watch this video over and over. I'm sure everybody is. But you got so many stays. One of my favorites is you got to stay strong enough, long enough. And you know, I love that fact is that, you know, until the pain of remaining the same basically is greater than the pain of changing, your world remain the same. And I think right now, more and more people are a little bit nervous of what's going on, Darin. They're a little bit scared, you know, and maybe they didn't have the success, but you were in a situation where you had to climb out of that, right? And so right now, home-based businesses, more and more people are looking at it. We don't know where jobs are going. Hours are being cut. Industries are being completely wiped out. You know, when people are looking at this industry for the first time, I mean, you've owned franchises, you've owned businesses, and you've done home-based businesses. Why do you think people should look at a home-based business today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I remember, you know, when in my early 20s, you know, when I was bankrupt, I'm like, man, I just want a better life for my family. And at that point, I started researching franchises. And at that time, the fastest growing franchise in the United States, I remember, was like a Kenny Rogers Roasters chicken franchise or something. It was 7. I ordered the packet. And when I got the packet, I'm like, man, you have to be rich to even do this at that point. And then I found, you know, that's what I love about network marketing, because when we had our franchises, and there were frozen yogurt franchises back in a really good time. We hit the right time with it when we purchased our first franchise. That's about as simple as you can get, right? I mean, it's yogurt and it's toppings. It's not really complicated. However, we spent $400,000 in one. We spent $300,000 in another one. You know, we had a 5-year lease, and this has been years ago. You know, 1,000 square feet, a little over 1,000 square feet was $4,000 some a month for 5 years. You know, each yogurt machine, I think now they're like $18,000, and they want you to have at least 7 to 10 of them. And it's just, you don't own the business owns you, right? Just the fudge warmer, right? It just sits by the register and warms fudge, right? That was over $500 years ago, like 7 years ago. I don't know what it is now. The front door, just to have a custom rug where people walk in and wipe their dirty shoes on, was more than $500, which is crazy because you had a massive investment. You had very little to minimal support, virtually no support, right? It's like, good luck, thanks for the money. You know, now you're now responsible, and you're just hoping. You're working 8 to faint, can to can't, pray you're still in business 5 years from now, pray you get your money back. Where when it comes to the network marketing, profession, you have a minimal investment, you have massive support, right? For the price of your smartphone, right? You can get started. Now that's also a challenge, because how do you get in a home-based business? I'm in. How do you get out? I'm out, right? What's easy to do is easy not to do when it comes to that. You lead a voluntary army, which means most people will not do it. So the key is I had to, teaching people the right mindset when they're building the business. Now you're asking me, so right now, think about this, Troy, before COVID, before quarantine, before all of these things, 2020, network marketing was over 100 years old. The last, numbers that I saw were over $180 billion, profession, over 100 million people participating. And you really had to, sell people, whether through a third-party tool or whatever. Hey, you may want to think about wanting to find a way to be able to work from home. Have you ever thought about a plan B? Have you ever thought about what if your company laid you off? What if you got downsized, right size, capsized? You had to really go, can go to people and share that with them. You never have to do that again, ever. Like the world is conspiring to do us good when it comes to the network marketing profession, because every single person on the planet knows that it's probably a smart idea. And if they don't, you don't want them, right? You're looking for the lookers, as Jim Rohn used to say. But you never have to sell them on why they may want to work from home. You never have to sell them on, do I need a plan B? You never have to plant that seed in their mind. Hey, just think about it just in case you got laid off. So now there's low-hanging fruit everywhere. And do they go out if they want to make extra money? Do they invest in a franchise or traditional business? Well, what if it happens again? It's not a matter of if, it's probably when it happens again. Or do I find something to do from home and they can go out and start learning digital marketing and things like that? That's a whole nother. I went from 0 followers on social media over the last several years. I learned that why spend my whole life trying to figure out what to do right when I can hire someone to teach me what to do in compressed time frames, success compression. So like I went out and hired one of the top 20 YouTubers in Forbes. I hired one of the top 10 social media, experts in Forbes, and spent multiple 6 figures over several years learning digital marketing, learning branding, learning all of these things. That's a lot of work, right? And only now have I started to move over into I'm actually selling something. My content for years has been free. So the point is they can go do that, or they can join a network marketing company, a direct sales company that has done all of those things for them. And they just got to take people from not knowing about the products and services to knowing about the products and services, plug them into duplicatable systems.
I love that. Yeah, I love that, because you're being system dependent, not people dependent. And let's talk about that, because the stereotype that this industry has for so long, Darin, it's completely changed. It's completely changed. The days of your friends dragging you to a hotel meeting to see a speaker like you or your caliber to learn from. Oh, you got to come. Or going to in-home parties. People just didn't like that. But now things have completely changed, because even it's not even a home business anymore. It's a phone business. You can really do this business anywhere. And let's talk about the advantages of that and how people can, what you've seen out there and how people can take advantage just working from home with the changes that have been done since, 5 years ago, or even 10 years ago.
Yeah, you're exactly right. From your phone, on social media, the world. We used to have to go out. We used to teach people, go out and share with a minimum of 2 people a day. Go leave your house, go to the gas station, go to the coffee shop, go to the grocery store, go shopping, meet people every day. Where now, man, you can have a crazy, I love when people go, hey, my life is just so busy, right? Well, that's everyone. I remember being at a Tony Robbins event, and he's like, give me some reasons you're not achieving your goals and your dreams. And this lady stood up and she's like, I don't have enough time. And I'm like, oh, here it comes, right? And he's like, isn't that interesting? It's the only thing that all of us have the same of in the entire world, right? We all have the same suitcase or briefcase. It's what you put in that briefcase. So the good news with this, my wife and I have 5 kids. We had multiple franchises, and we had a team at that time of several 100,000 people, right? That was bringing in thousands of recruits a month. And so when people go, man, it's just so busy, I'm like, if you do it the right way, you don't have to go out to build your business. You can just build it while you're out. You don't have to, I used to have to work my life around a job. then I got to the point I just worked my business around my life. So from your phone, you got the, kids are in bed and you're in your pajamas, you're in your recliner, and you can take your phone and communicate with people from all over the world. Like you said, this is your business, and you have the, tax savings. So, get with your CPA or accountant. I'm not a CPA, but you have tax savings. You have flexibility, work it at the beach, work it by the pool, work it while you're in line getting the kids from school. So the flexibility. Another thing too, Troy, that's really phenomenal is the ability to learn the skills that it takes to be successful when you're building a business. When we purchased our franchises, no one told us what to do. It was like, hey, good luck. Here, you get to earn while you learn. You get in profit mode if you do the work at a pretty fast pace. You have people that in your life where my jobs in the past, my boss manager never wanted me to get too good because then I threatened their position. Where here, the only way you ever get what you want is help someone else get what they want. So I just love the business model. And we're going from, Troy, they say that opportunities, it was a German philosopher, said opportunities go through 3 phases: ridiculed, opposed, actually violently opposed, and then self-evident. Only 3% get involved in the first 2 most profitable phases, which is ridiculed and opposed. So I met a guy in Northern Virginia years ago, had 12 cell phone stores. They were all losing money in the late 80s. They were 300 square foot each. In the early 90s, AT&T paid him $14 million for 12 stores losing money. So now everybody knows what a cell phone is. Your 2-year-old, or 2-year-olds can operate it better than we do. But yet, where would you rather be? Where everybody sees the vision, everybody sees the value, or go back to where 9 out of 10 people laughed at you? So vision is seeing it before everyone else sees it. And network marketing is kind of going from that ridiculed and opposed to the self-evident phase at a really fast pace. So momentum is definitely kicking in, and momentum is a multiplier. People are looking for a home, and if you don't share what you do with them, they're going to find it somewhere else.
That's unbelievable. That's a great story. It's violently opposed and then self-evident. Here's a guy with 18 stores. You want to talk about God putting a mess and turning it into, just a message. That's unbelievable of what has happened there. So let's get into some tips. Okay, you train. Let's get into some. We're going to put Darin on the hot seat. Okay, so you're looking at this and you're saying, I got to do something. There's people that I got to do something different. Okay, they realize that they need multiple streams of income, whether it's spare time money, part-time money, or people looking for full-time money. They know they got to do something different. When someone starts out, like give you an example, one of the things that I've always liked to do is I always like to reach out to people, whether it's through social media or it's just picking up the phone old school and just say, look, I thought of you, or have you heard the news? I started a business through social media, or I thought of you because I'm building a bit. I saw something that I really am excited about. If you're brand new and you're starting the business, where do you start? Give some tips of what would be a game plan. You're sitting down with someone that's brand new. Your brother comes up to you and says, look, I want to start a business from home. Give me some core tips. And then how do I approach people?
Okay, that's a great question. And, I think it's important whether you're brand new or you're a leader making multiple 7 figures, right? It takes a genius to keep it simple. And actually, I just had a course that we just made free, right? Which I had some business, friends of mine like, why would you do that for free? It's a $147 course. I'm like, because people don't get the basics. And, when you have someone, and I believe, Troy, it was at a 6-figure retreat with Eric Worre. And there was like 200 plus 6-figure, 7-figure earners in the room. Some of them had earned, like Jeff Roberti, over $100 million. Mm-hmm. And I remember them talking about how if someone gets in, they make no money, the retention in 6 months is like 20%. If they make $1, it goes to over 70%. When you get them in, their excitement is high, their knowledge is low. Right? They don't even know what they don't know yet. And if you don't inoculate them and teach them some things from the very beginning, they won't stay strong enough long enough to where they start achieving some success. So all they need to do is make $1 and it goes to 70% retention. That's their belief check. The 3 things that I always like to go to, because we could talk about social media, we could talk about, duplication, we could talk about a million different things, but these 3 things you have to be successful. And when you hear them, you go, it can't be that simple. It is that simple. The how-tos are very simple, but it's the philosophy and the attitude that you have behind what you do, because there are people that do the same things. One has success, one does not have success. What's the difference? Number one, you have to be coachable. Most people, they come into network marketing and they go, yeah, I'm coachable, which is code for, as long as you tell me what I'm comfortable with, I'm coachable. As soon as you tell me something that rubs me the wrong way, I'm not that coachable. Well, guess what? If it rubs you the wrong way, it was probably meant for you. And people want to bring their backgrounds into the business. Give you an example. I've had doctors, and I'm sure you've had the same thing, Troy, with your because you have some massive organizations and in your career. Doctors that come in and they go, I'm not doing those little simple cheesy things that you're teaching me to do. I'm a doctor and I'm going to do it my way. And they fail fast and they fail hard. Then I've had doctors that have come on board and they're like, hey, you know what? I went to school all those years to be a doctor. I'm smart enough to know this is, like buying a franchise. You tell me what to do and I'll do it. And they have massive success, right? You wouldn't buy McDonald's, spend the multiple seven figures on a McDonald's. There's 30,000 plus McDonald's. And if I was, and I'd like doing this in front of a live group or on a Zoom where I get them to raise their hand or see what they're saying. And I go, if you're at the front of the counter at McDonald's, which side is the fry machine? And they raise their left hand. Which side is the shake machine? And they raise their right hand. I go, what color is the cheeseburger wrapper? And they go, yellow. And I go, y'all need to stop eating McDonald's so much. And they laugh like you are. But the point is, we know it's a system. They don't have the best hamburger. They went to Hamburger University. They work the system. And if you spend that kind of money in McDonald's, you're going to do what they tell you to do. And you're not going to get bored with the basics. Like when they say, look, remember when they used to go, do you want to supersize it? Do you want a combo meal? Do you want to add fries? Do you want to add a shake? Whatever. You don't invest multiple seven figures and a week later go, I'm sick of saying that. Let's mix it up. No, you will say the same simple things until your lips fall off if you want that success. So you have to be coachable, leave your background at the door, and give the basics time to compound, but just trust your leadership. Number two, you have to be willing to work. And I think, Troy, one of the biggest challenges in network marketing is people preaching you can get rich quick, you can do nothing, it's like the lottery. That's a lie, right? Anything in life worth something, it's worth, you have to fight for it. You have to pay the price. The longest distance to success in network marketing is a shortcut. You have to step up to the counter and pay full retail price. It's work. If it sounds easy, by the way, if they're calling you saying you can get in, do nothing, we're going to build it for you. If it sounds easy, it's sleazy, right? It's either illegal or it's, they're lying to you, one or the other. You got to go be willing to work and pay the price. And by the way, if you're preaching that, then who are you going to attract to you and your business? You're going to attract people that have a lottery mentality. They don't want to work. They're not in it for the long haul. They're jumping companies. So you got to be willing to pay the price, put in the work to have the potential. At first, you work harder than you get paid to eventually get paid for more than you're doing. That's the potential, right? If you're willing to do the work. Because the jobs that I had in the past, and by the way, for those of you that are building a business, you don't bash jobs, right? That doesn't make people want to hear what you have to say, right? You want them working a job. You want them working this part-time. That way it's fun. The power of the part-time story that Jim Rohn talked about. But where was I going with that? ADD, next squirrel. Anyway, you have to be willing to work. You have to be willing to pay the price. You have to be willing to work and give the efforts time to compound. Mm-hmm. And it's an emotional roller coaster, by the way, Troy, as you and I both know, right? Oh, I know what it was. So when I had my jobs, right, there we go, came back to me. When I had my jobs, it was hard. It was tough. And I knew that my job never had the potential to give me the lifestyle that I wanted. Now, some of you watching, your job may, mine didn't. And I'm like, man, this is hard, right? Somebody else tells me when I come into work. They tell me when I get break, whether I want break or not. They tell me when I eat lunch, whether I want lunch or not. They dictate what I'm worth. I don't dictate what I'm worth. It's amazing. They can predict how many days a year I'm going to be sick because they go, this is how many sick days that you have. That was hard. Building a business is hard. You have to pick your hard. But my business had the potential to create the lifestyle that it did for my wife and I when we were distributors for over 20 years. We did whatever we want to do, right? It created a dream lifestyle. Be willing to work. That's number two. Number three, Troy, is desire. When you talked about, one of the things that I say, and I forget, who I heard it from years ago, maybe it was John Addison or somebody, but what helps you stay strong enough, long enough, desire comes from why are you building your business? And as network marketers, we have to remember not everyone is used to hearing why, your why. So if I'm sitting down with someone or I'm coaching someone, I'm like, what's most important to you in your life right now? Why are you building the business? And they share that with me. If you've ever felt unmotivated or burned out, it's not burnout. It's lack of clarity. A billionaire taught me that. Clarity gives you focus. Focus gives you energy. You have to have a crystal clear picture and put emotions, attach emotions to the money. Because if you're just doing it for the money, you're going to quit. But for me, the day of disgust, I'll just give you an example of what I did that kept me going, helped me stay strong enough, long enough. It was my dad passed away over 10 years ago. And when he passed away on his hospital deathbed, up until that day, it was someday we'll go do this. Someday we'll go do that. Someday never came. But I've learned that someday leads to a town called nowhere. And some people's some days are other people's every days. So for me, when my oldest daughter was little and we had this big Coca-Cola plastic piggy bank and we're putting change in that piggy bank going, someday we'll go to Disney. Someday we'll go to Disney World. And we got to the point where one day she walks in and I had it on the floor going through the change just to get enough to go get food. She runs in seeing Daddy taking her money for Disney World and runs out of the room crying. And I remember looking up going, God, how can I get this low to the point where I am taking my child's money for Disney World? And I go, that's it. That's when the switch flipped. I walked into my room, my office. I wrote on a 3x5 card I have somewhere that said, I will until. I don't care how long it takes. I refuse to live like this rest of my life. They can quit on their family. I will not quit on my family. I don't want some rock star or some superhero being my kid's, hero. I want to be my kid's hero. I want to know that I'm fighting for a better life for them. And then a mentor of mine said, Darin, success is buried right underneath frustration. And I'm like, well, you know what? I have to be close. I can't get any more frustrated. So Troy, when it comes to basics, those are 3 basic things. So if you're watching this and you're going, can I have success like these other people? What's the potential? If you're coachable, if you're willing to work and you have desire, you absolutely can achieve success in network marketing if you're willing to do what you need to do.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, that's an incredible story too. I mean, it's just to go into your child's funds is that's low. And there's a lot of people watching and they feel the same way. Without hope in the future, there's no power in the present. And a lot of people just feel there's no hope out there. We both been, I know what it's like to eat ramen noodles as a child and an adult. We're, as a saying, we are both broke, busted, and disgusted. And at some point you're trying to make a change. I love your tips. I love I love your kind of, it's like a 5 success rules or whatever. I'm gonna brand it for you and make it mine, Darin. But I like that. I like what you say there. And that's where the industry is so good because, and the reason why I wanted to get you on here for people to listen to, I think everyone can see your passion, your power, your story, and that you're a regular person. You've gone through hardships. You've gone through a lot of hardships and you worked your way out. You weren't born with like a silver spoon in their mouth, okay? Which I have friends I love, but some of them, their daddy owned a car dealership, now they do or something. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you are truly a guy that started from the bottom and worked your way to the top. And so my big thing is the reason I wanted to have you on here and the reason I think it's important for people to plug into trainers like you is because if they want to grow, atmosphere matters is what I say. It's a lot easier to get in a fight at a club than a library. Okay. So, who you hang out with matters. And so I listen to you all the time. I follow you. I listen to you. Your trainings are incredible. So before I let you go, and we're going to let people know where they can find you because this is great. This is just the appetizer. Trust me, you've seen nothing yet. I don't even think Darin's getting warmed up. But what other tips can you give somebody before they go there looking to get involved in network marketing? What other things can you leave with us?
Well, I would just say enjoy the process. Don't get mad at the process. If I could do a whole hour training on why it's really important, like to go down the knowing why you're building your business. I think that's probably the most important thing because of the limited time that we have together. Spend some time doing a dream board. And I remember the late billionaire, Paul J. Meyer, who had 40 companies in 60 countries, did billions of dollars in revenue, got John Maxwell started with this program. And I remember him saying, do a dream board. And I remember thinking at first, like, are we in kindergarten? Like, why would I do a dream board? That makes no sense to me. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. It was his private jet that I flew on. It wasn't mine. He's the one paying for 1,000 kids a year to go to college. It's not me. He's the one that gave away $400 million to charity back then, which continues to grow, even though he passed away, years ago at 80 some years old. Because what's fascinating, Troy, the older I get and the more I research and the more I study and the more coaches and mentors that I've hired and I've learned from, the power of your mind and the way we think. It's the filter that takes care of everything else, because we think 70 to 90,000 thoughts a day. And by the time we're 35, 90% of the thoughts that we think today are the same ones that we thought yesterday. So you really have to think about what you're thinking about. Your brain wants to be right, and it blocks most of the things out. So for example, if you're looking at a Facebook page, next time you're on a Facebook page, just look at everything on the Facebook page, and you will realize how many things you've never noticed, right? If you're sitting in a Starbucks, a coffee shop, and you paid attention to people sipping their coffee, tapping their feet, typing on a computer, it would drive you crazy. So you have to tell your brain what you want. Your brain wants to be right. So in your subconscious mind makes more decisions than your conscious mind. So I used to say things, Troy, like, I can't afford it. Well, your brain wants to be right. So it'll go in your subconscious folders, throw into your conscious mind here all the reasons you can't afford it. I can't recruit. I can't sell. I can't do this. Well, you're right. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. It's that reticular activating system, that RAS for short, where let me give you an example. You may have never noticed how many cars on the road, like the one you're driving, until you bought the car. They were there before because of your awareness. So really spend some time, because we're almost done, really spend some time and think about what you think about. And I heard research recently that a negative thought is 4 to 7 times more powerful than a positive. When you verbalize it, when you speak it, it multiplies it by 10. And the science all proves it. So that means there's a 40 to 70 times more likelihood of it happening than if you didn't verbalize it. So think about what you're thinking about. Be very careful of what you speak, because your words and your thoughts are a self-fulfilling prophecy. And again, it's not going to happen overnight, right? I mean, we spend our whole life getting to where we are right now, but you have to continue to rep your mind like you rep your muscles in the gym. You figure out, like, you can hire coaches and go to courses and go to your upline. You can figure out all the how-tos along the way. But if your mindset, your attitude is not right, it's never going to work. You truly do, again, the billionaire taught me this, you magnetize the condition that you seek. What you think about, you truly do bring about. And so when you visualize, here's another fascinating thing that I've learned. When you visualize an experience, Troy, your brain and body doesn't know the difference in reality and what you just visualized. So your body produces the same chemicals and endorphins as if the experience actually happened. So you can experience an experience before you ever experience it. And why is that powerful? Because when you're visualizing your goals and your dreams and that rank you want to hit and that bonus you want to hit, we move toward what is familiar and we move toward what is comfortable. So when you think the right thoughts, you speak the right things. And by the way, your rituals and your habits, at first you make them, then they make you. So during the last, couple of years, I've had some crazy challenges, 3 surgeries, almost died with appendicitis, all kinds of crazy stuff. And, I really had to work on my rituals that completely changed my world. And by the way, Troy, I go back and go, man, if I hadn't gone through those challenges, I wouldn't be who I am today, because I've grown more in the last 12 to 24 months than I have 10 years combined. So really focus on, and that's why also, Troy, let me say this, do a dream board. Put your goals, like I have, on your screensaver on your phone that you check over, I think the average is over 400 times a day. So I have dreams and goals on my laptop computer screen, my iPad, my phone, my whiteboard, because I know what thou seest, anything that you ever achieve in life, you're going to achieve in your head first. You got to see it here before you ever see it in reality. And your mind is so powerful. There's documented studies of people that have multiple personality disorders. And when they change personalities, their eye color will change. So your brain and your thoughts and your words are extremely powerful.
Wow, that's that. I love that. I love having a dream board. Keeping that stuff in front of you is very important. And you're right. Your thoughts become things. If you keep thinking it, that's really good stuff. And you don't want to do what I did. I used to say, I'll never be able to afford a car like that. And they say, Troy, that's negative thinking. Be positive. Okay, I'm positive. I'll never be able to afford a car like that. Like, oh, that's not what you're supposed to do. That's not what Darin's saying. But no, you're right. Thoughts become things. I love the fact of having a dream board. And I'm sure people, I know we got to get you out of here, but I'm sure people can, as they're dreaming, as they're succeeding, they can up that dream board. They can change that dream board as they go along. Do you see people doing that?
Yeah. And the way I look at this is that, if you've ever been driving at night, you can see as far as the headlights are shining in front of you. So you can see all the way to the stop sign. Once you get to the stop sign, you can see a little bit further. And so your goals and your dreams are going to continually grow. And we're either growing or declining. Maintaining is a myth. So I would encourage you to continue to work on those goals. And for me, even this week, I sit there and I go, okay, man, I feel like I've lost focus. Like I feel like I'm going in circles. I got a million things to do and a million plates spinning. And so I sat down, and the quality of our life is determined by the quality of questions we ask ourselves. So I sat down and go, okay, what do I really want? Why do I want it? What can I do to get there? And that's when you can have some true breakthroughs. I was talking to a gentleman during COVID. He was he's like, man, I've had my business for 15 years. And he's like, I'm preparing to bankrupt. And I share with him, I'm like, listen, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of questions you ask yourself. Instead of speaking those things, start asking yourself the right questions. And he's like, it's crazy you said that. Because let me fast forward. He asked himself, how can I be an essential business and stay open? Well, he had access to build sneeze guards. And so what he did was he went out and bought a domain. And then he started selling sneeze guards. And he's never sold anything online in his life. He's like, Darin, I started having thousands of dollars of orders come through every single day. Like I did this recently. I'm like, okay, I want to go out there and I want to work with some companies, not just any company. And I go, so why do I want to work with a company? Well, how can I achieve my goal sooner than later? How can I impact more people? Because I want to help people. And I'm like, well, I could go to a company while I'm training all these individuals and developing courses. And I'm like, what company would I want to work with? What are the type of people? Because I'm at the point, the money doesn't matter. I've walked away from a lot of money because I didn't want to work with the people, right? I'm like, who do I want to work with? What type of people do I want to work with? What companies would fit that mold? And I reached out, for example, to some founders of a company. Hey, listen, I had something come across my mind here, and they're like, we can't believe that you reached out to us. We needed someone just like you at the exact time that you reached out. Now we've had a lot of success. And so, but it came from me asking the right questions. So continue to set goals, continue to dream. And I would also remind you, we don't make what we want, we make what we are. If we want to make more, we have to become more. The guy that I met that years ago had this car, Troy, I'd never seen a car like this in my life. And he had this gold Jesus necklace that cost probably more than my house. And I've just always been hungry. And so I walked up and go, man, that is a beautiful car. And I love that necklace. And if you don't mind me asking, like, what do you do for work? Because I love studying successful people. And he's like, well, I won the lottery. And I laughed because I thought he was joking. He wasn't joking. He's like, nah, man, I worked at the kitchen in the college and I won the Mega $1 Million lottery. What he told me next, I never forgot. He said, Darin, before they gave me my money, allowed me to take it, they made me watch a series of stories of people saying the lottery was the worst thing that ever happened to them. They wish they had never played the lottery. Stories of people committing suicide because most of them didn't just go back to where they were before they won the lottery. They just didn't go broke. They went back to a place that was worse than where they were. And why is that? Because they didn't become a multimillionaire. They were given millions of dollars and our income always comes back to where we are. We don't make what we want, we make what we are. And if we want to make more, we have to become more. And how did I become more? How did you become more? Personal development, what you read, right? What you listen to, and your associations. Our associations are like an elevator. They lift us up or they bring us down. So you have to ask yourself, what are your associations doing to you or what are they doing for you? You show me your closest circle of friends, I will show you your future. I am very intentional about my associations and who I let into my space, whether it's the headspace, whether it's my surroundings. I don't want to be at the top of my circle. I'm constantly and consistently seeking out people where I'm at the bottom, right? And I can learn from those people. So really pay attention to what you read, what you listen to. And by the way, you can't say don't think of a pink elephant. Don't think negative thoughts. You think of a pink elephant. What you resist persists. You have to displace it. You have to displace the negative with the positive. You take that dirty glass of water under a spigot, you take fresh, pure, clean water, and it's displacing the dirty water. That's what you have to do with your stinking thinking, right? You have to take that stinking thinking and continually displace it. And I'll leave you with this, Troy. This may help some of you. Because of all the social media and the negativity and everything that goes on, I had to create some rituals over the last 2 years that have gotten me through the crazy things that have happened, from family to health things. And so what I would do is I would get up. I'm no longer, the studies recently that I was looking at said the first 8 minutes of your day set up your attitude for the whole day. And gratitude is the healthiest emotion there is. It improves your health just by having an attitude of gratitude. So what I do is when I get up in the morning, first of all, before my feet hit the floor, I'm like, thank you, God, for another day. You're not done with me yet, evidently, because I'm alive. And before my feet hit the floor, I try to have an attitude of gratitude. And I thank God for everything, not just big things. Man, thank you for a comfortable bed. Because when I was in the hospital with appendicitis, my appendix was gangrene, leaking into my body, almost a half a month in the hospital. And I was on oxygen, and my stomach shut down for a week. And it was crazy. And I remember looking out the window going, man, I will never take for granted walking across a parking lot, being outside in fresh air ever again. Man, these people can go wherever they want to go to eat, right? Maybe they're not in pain. I'm in crazy pain. And I go, I wish I could just breathe some fresh air and, have some, be in my recliner at home. So now I'm thankful for hot water. I'm thankful for my taste buds. I'm thankful for coffee. I'm thankful for everything. And I never want to forget that. So then what I do is I do my meditation, I do my devotions, I pray, and then while I'm getting ready, fixing my hair, for the day, I've got YouTube on, I'm listening to Rick Warren, or I'm listening to something positive. And then a lot of times during the day, if I'm having a challenging day, I've got it playing in the background because your subconscious mind is always recording. And then what I also do is I do that at night, because what we watch, read, listen to at night before you go to sleep, you marinate on the next 6 to 8 hours. So if I can control the beginning of my day, the end of my day, I can handle what happens throughout the middle of my day a lot better. And so I'm displacing nonstop those old negative thoughts. The same thinking that got us to where we are is not the same thinking that's going to get us to the next level.
Wow, that's great stuff. You guys, now you know why I wanted to have him here. And I love the examples you gave, Darin. I mean, just the blessing that God gives is just turning a mess into a miracle with all those nose guards. I wonder how I could have come up with something like nose guards. Who would have thought? Why couldn't we done that together? Darin, I mean, come on. I mean, oh my gosh, nose guards. But those are true. Turning a mess into a miracle. Really are the great examples today of people overcoming, and great tips, Darin. So my final question, we're going to let you go. Obviously, people are going to want to get more of you. Where can they find you, Darin Kidd? Where can they find you?
Well, they can go to darinkidd.com. And as you can see, my name's spelled a little bit different, DARINKIDD. And, we have free trainings, and you'll find a link to get my course that we just decided to give away for free. Because me, for 28 years being a distributor, going into the training world, there's so many phenomenal trainers that you and I are friends with. And so I'm like, what better way for me to get my training out there into the marketplace than to show people that I care, show people I want to really help and support them. And when they go through my free course and download the resources for free, and they're going to know if they like my style or not. And if they don't, it's okay. There's a lot of other great trainers, but if they do, I would love to, talk to them. I'm working with companies on consulting. I'm doing courses. I'm coaching individuals. I have a monthly membership group. But if they go to darinkidd.com, and also if they go to darinkidd.com/3keys, the number 3 keys, they can get a download that basically talks about the 3 keys that I mentioned on this. And I would love to stay connected with all of you. And I'm cheering for you and happy to serve you in any way that I can. And Troy, I just appreciate, again, it was an honor to be asked to speak on your podcast. I know you're doing phenomenal things. You're a great leader. You've definitely broken records in the network marketing industry and done a lot of phenomenal things. And I know you're not done. And so I just appreciate your friendship and your support.
Well, I'm not done because I'm going to listen to people like you and buy their programs, which I encourage everyone to do. I mean, this guy, Darin's, look, he's got a whole list of things he's accomplishments he's been with. He's been with on the Grant Cardone show. And I saw you actually do a great training with John and Nadia Melton, who I'm big fans of in the industry. I've seen you, do some trainings with Eric Worre, who you mentioned, and some of the big leaders. So it's just a blessing to have you here. We're definitely going to have you come back for sure. But please go find Darin Kidd. And remember, there's only one R in Darin, okay? Don't be like me sending the wrong emails to say, why is it kicking back? But Darin Kidd, you can find him all over Facebook and Instagram. He's got some great things on YouTube. I'm listening to it all the time at the gym. And I plagiarize you all the time. So I'm just, God says copy the right people. I'm copying you. So with that,
I'll have people reach out to me and they're like, hey, that sounds just like, this trainer or that trainer. I'm like, well, yeah, I've been learning from them for many years. Like, that's not a negative. It's okay to be a copycat as long as you copy the right cat.
Amen, brother. Amen.
We all can learn from one another. I'm learning from you, and I just appreciate those kind words. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Darin. Thanks for coming. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.